Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Wrap, Michigan Medicine's employee podcast. I'm Dan Ellman with the Department of Communication.
And I'm Jeremy Fallis, also with the Department of Communication. Today's topic is previewing Nursing Poster Day 2026, which is set for May 7th at 8 a.m. inside the Towsley Center.
All right, now let's start today's conversations with two things as we bring in our guests. Number one, introduce yourself. Let us know your role in the organization. And number two, many of us have interesting vacations and fun stories from them. So I want you to share your favorite or most interesting vacation memory. Becky, let's start with you. Then we'll go to Laura and Lakeisha.
Well, hi, I'm Becky, or Rebecca Williams. I have been a nurse for about 13 years, actually, I think going on 14. Used to work at Michigan Medicine. Also recently just graduated at the School of Nursing as well for my PhD, and now I'm an adjunct faculty. So, wow, you put me on the spot. I'm trying to think of a great vacation. Is it a great vacation or a silly one?
Completely up to you.
Well, I have to say I need to take a vacation. It's been a long time since I've been in school, so I've been trying to make my way to Destin, Florida. I hear it's really pretty there. I guess recently we went to Boyne Mountain in Michigan, and that was beautiful. Just a little cold, but it was really pretty.
Laura, it's your turn.
Hello, I'm Laura Shakarian, and I'm a nurse recruiter. And I work for the Department of Nurse Recruitment and Retention. And been at the university forever, since dinosaurs roamed the earth. Favorite vacation story, or just in general, my husband and I do travel a lot, so we've had a lot of great vacations. Just recently, our daughter moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, so we were down there in January and did a lot of the highlights there, including the Grand Canyon, which that was my husband's first time there, so that was exciting for him. And then after that, on to Vegas for a number of shows and gambling. So it was a lot of fun.
And a good place to be during the winter, right? You got to escape the winter weather here.
For about 10 days, it was awesome. Yes.
Excellent. All right, Lakeisha, bring us home.
Okay, I am Lakeisha Ben. I've been with the university for 4 years. I've been a nurse for 27 years. I do support 6A medicine inpatient unit and 4A interim on their medicine unit. I'm also the lead for the EBP Fellowship for Nursing and also chair for the Delirium Committee. I knew you all were going to come back to this. So my most interesting, probably the best vacation that I've had, even though I love the beach, was when I went to the bottom of the earth in Antarctica. So I went to Antarctica the pre-eve of COVID to run a half marathon with 27 other African Americans. So that we made history because we were the first group of African Americans to run a marathon or half marathon in Antarctica. And with that trip, did Antarctica, South America, Chile, and Argentina, Brazil, and saw one of the second largest waterfalls in the world. So that was the most interesting trip, the best trip I've had. I do love warm weather, so that was ironic that was the best trip that I've had. So
that is such a fun story. You, your friends, and a bunch of penguins just running across the ice. Well, thank you for everybody for sharing your vacation stories. It's tough to top Lakeisha, so we will not try. All right, so let's dive into the work aspect. A little bit different than Antarctica. Let's dive into Nursing Poster Day. It's a big event. It's during Nurses Week. Becky, can you tell us how Poster Day works and what to expect if you're attending?
Yeah, so it's almost here, by the way. And if you caught our podcast from a few months back, we've already called for abstracts, and now it's happening. It's, occurring on May 7th. And so what's going to happen is that on Poster Day, it's really highlighting Nurses Week at UMH. And it really is just a special event where nurses, they showcase their amazing projects, their research, whatever they've done at UMHS, they just put it on a poster and present it. And it's a great networking event for everyone at the health system. It's a great place to share their work, learn from others, network. So especially if you're curious what other people are working on or curious what other departments, it's a great place to learn about that. And so after all that, so networking and everything, here's how it actually works. So authors will stand by their posters. Most of the time they're nurses or multidisciplinary staff, and they'll stand by their posters, they'll mingle, they'll hang out. And then kind of like last year, this year we're going to do it again in terms of doing a poster day bingo card, which is a lot of fun. So as you're chatting with people or the authors of the poster, they'll mark your card with a sticker. You'll get a bingo. Once you do get a bingo, then you can take that and enter it in to win one of several door prize baskets, which I think we have 6 or 7 this year. And I wish I was going to be there in person just to try to win one of the baskets. They've done a really good job with the prizes this year. And another thing to note, so this is the first time we've had over 60 posters on display, which is huge because this has been going on, I think, for over 10, 15 years. I presented my first poster, I think, back in 2017, and now we're at 60 posters, which is just amazing. And I hope it continues like this every year. And we're also having podium presentations, which are going to take place in the morning. So other things that you might want to know other than how the day works is where it's going to be taking place. So as Jeremy mentioned, it's going to, occur in Towsley Center, and it'll start May 7th from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The schedule is it's kind of similar to last year. Yeah, so the schedule will start with from 8 to 9 a.m. We'll do a kickoff with the Practicing Nurse Evidence-Based Fellowship celebration. I can't believe we're already at cohort 10. I was part of cohort 2. There'll be presentations, recognition from these fantastic nurses and the work that they've done over the past year. They'll share their work and we'll celebrate them from 8 to 9 a.m. And then from 9 a.m. to 12:15 p.m., that's when you'll do the poster viewing. You'll have authors there in the lobby. And then at that same kind of time that the posters are happening, the podium presentations will be occurring as well. And those will take place from 9:30 to 10:30. Actually, let me take that back. There's actually going to be 2 podium presentations this year, which is actually really exciting. So we're going to have 2 sessions. So the first one will be from 9:30 to 10:30. And then the second session will take place from 10:45 to 11:30 a.m. And then after that is the, very exciting part. It's the award ceremony from 12:30 to 1:30. And this is the different part. I knew there was something different. So the awards ceremony will take place in Sheldon Auditorium. And after the podium presentation, the second session, there will be an award ceremony, which is exciting. So that'll be from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. That'll take place in the Sheldon Auditorium. Welcoming remarks will be done by Dr. Julie Kristen Ishek, our Chief Nurse and Operations Executive. And then the awards will be given for several categories. And those categories include evidence-based practice, clinical innovation process improvement, one of my favorites, and research. So the next category is research. There's also the first-time presenter. Then there's one for the School of Nursing, the People's Choice, so you vote for your favorite. And then there's the podium presentation this year. And that's kind of how the day is going to look from start to finish. We'll have the celebration and we'll end with a celebration and have all the all the learning and the networking kind of in the middle.
I love that. One thing that you touched on is the presentations, the poster presentations, and I'm curious about that. How many presentations will be given, at the podium? And can you just give us a preview of maybe a few of the topics that will be discussed?
We have a total of 7 podium presentations taking place. They were chosen out from 70 abstracts. And each of those presentations are very different and have interesting topics. And the first session starts at 9:30 a.m. And that first session, we will have 4 presenters that's presenting at the podium. And I'm going to go through who will be presenting and their topics. So Adam Stricker and Tina Anderson, their title and topics, Enhancing Self-Efficacy in Triage Through AI-Powered Simulations. The second presenter will be Ashley Washington, Dr. Hee-Jin Kim, and Dr. Mary Franklin. And their title and topic will be Clinician-Led Patient Education to Improve the Provision of Sexual Health in Women with Pelvic Cancer. Our third session, or our third presenter is Rosalie Makaha. I really can't wait to hear her presentation. Her presentation is Silence the Noise, empowering nurses to lead sepsis detection. And the reason why I want to hear her presentation, because it affects my units that I support.
It's a hot topic.
Yes, hot topic. And the fourth presentation in the first session will be from Helen Chang and Laura Mason, topic entitled Innovating OR Instrument Training, Enhancing Orientation for New Operating Room Nurses with Mixed Reality and Technology. So that will be the first session. And then as Becky was telling us that then we have a second session, we'll have a pause, and then at 10:45, we start the second session. There will be 3 presenters in the second session. And the first presenter will be Dr. Kevin Law, his topic entitled Ambulatory Care Standardized Documentation Initiative. The second presenter will be Tammy Calvin and Tanya Walder, Removing Race-Based GFR Calculations. That's another one I'm really interested in, because I always wondered why we had the race-based, the GFR calculation when we're diagnosing kidney disease. So increased transplant rates and improved racial equity. And then the third presenter will be Courtney Reardon, Hattie Thomas, and Brooklyn Hurt. Don't Take It With You, a quality improvement approach to reducing indwelling urinary catheters at transfer. So another hot topic that a lot of people will be interested in, especially the inpatient nurses, CNSs, directors, everyone. So that's a hot topic in inpatient.
Thanks for sharing those. That's going to be very helpful for those folks who are hands-on with all those different situations on a daily basis. Let's switch gears just a quick second. Laura, let's get you in here. Let's talk a little bit about Nurses Week in general. It also sounds like there's going to be quite the spread available at Poster Day, for example. What else should nurses expect, not only at Poster Day, but for the week in general?
We haven't unveiled our agenda yet this year, so this is a sneak peek. Our theme this year is Peace, Love, and Nursing at Michigan. We're kind of going with the 60s, 70s vibes with the big flowers and, just kind of the hippie vibe, I guess.
Tie-dye.
Yep, tie-dyed. And we're we've got some great offerings again this year. Our department we're the lead for the Nurses Week program every year. And we go through and look at needs assessments and feedback from the nurses from previous years as to what they're wanting to hear about or what kind of things they want to do. And that's how we formulate the program every year. So the poster is done. We will be delivering the poster the end of April, so that week before the Poster Day event. And then the registration starts May 5th for the nurses to go on and select something. And we have our usual variety of different events. So we're doing a few dinner and CE events, which are always popular. We're doing a few certification review events. And then, of course, we are offering 3 bus trips again this year, which is always the fan favorite. So that will be coming out the end of April. So we're really excited. And then related to the Poster Day, we've been involved as a sponsor and partner with the Poster Day for a few years. And we were asked a few years ago to be a part, and would we help sponsor food, which of course we all know for staff, that's a big draw. Because people can come down and review the posters and also eat. So that's great. So we're going to have a big spread of food down there again that staff can help themselves to. We will also be there, myself and one of my colleagues, talking with staff, and we're bringing a few little giveaways because our department's known for bringing the tchotchkes. So we will have that there, and we will be there to support the program that day as well.
I feel like we should have led with the food. That's the most important thing, right?
Well, the food is always a big deal. And we know that because of all the events that we put on, that it's always important, to have that piece of it. So it's been going over very well over the last few years. So we're expecting the same this year.
Excellent. Well, so you touched on this a little bit about continuing education. And So I wanted to know sort of, what's in it for me for the people who are going to be attending both Poster Day and maybe other Nurses Week events. Can we talk a little bit about sort of it's not just food that you're getting, but you are going to be able to get some continuing education credits and things like that will help people when it comes to professional development?
It looks like there's going to be one CE credit for the nurses, a contact hour. They have to go and review the posters and then fill out a little evaluation of the event and confirm that they've viewed 5 posters, so they will be able to get that CE. And then for our other Nurses Week events, all those events will also have CE attached. Depending on the program, we go from 1 to 2 CEs on some of the events, all the way up to we have a couple of certification events that are going to be about close to 14 CEs for those 2 events. So anything that is, that's part of the Nurses Week program will offer that CE for staff, which is very important. And last year we brought a program back that we had done before, the human trafficking. That is required for nurses for their licensure. At least, they have to do a program at some point. And it was very popular last year. So we are actually offering a different speaker this year for human trafficking as well, so that, staff can get that, as well as we always do a pain continuing ed program, because that's another requirement for nursing licensure.
It's really running the gamut. It's very, seems like a full-scale operation, from the food to the continuing education credits to the professional development of the people who are presenting. So this is really awesome. So what about somebody who can't make it to Poster Day? Is there still a way to participate? Becky, maybe you have some insight on that?
Yeah, so no worries if you can't make it. That's fine. Other than you're going to miss out on some really good food, some fun prizes, and but information will still be available to you. So all posters will be available online starting May 7th, and then you can vote, actually, which is great, online for the People's Choice Award virtually as well. So you don't have to be in person to vote for your favorite poster. But you do have to make sure you vote by 11 a.m. as the voting closes at that time. So I know not a lot of time to look at all the posters online, but at least it's there and you can still vote. And then I guess after the event, you can still view the posters online for a couple of months if you're interested in a topic that you didn't know existed or you're just curious. So it'll still be there for a couple of months. But I do have to note that this is for our internal website. So if it's not really available to the public. So if you don't have a way to access the internal website, you won't be able to access the poster. So if you don't have a UMich or UMich ED or Med account, I don't think you can access that.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, that's just before we close up shop here, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Who sort of supports this event? Like, are there sponsors? Things like that. What are the logistics behind it? And then what else are we missing? Maybe the 3 of you can sort of chime in. Like, is there anything else you want to leave us with that you want to make sure our audience knows about?
Well, I think it's great. So obviously nursing and PA recruitment and retention, Laura and her team, we definitely want to say a big thanks to them, helping us sponsor this from years to years. And then also we got to, make sure we give a big thanks to the Nursing Research and Translation Committee, Nursing Administration, Sigma Road Chapter, can't forget about you guys, U of M School of Nursing, and Nursing Philanthropy for making this event possible year after year. And it's making a difference because we have over 60 posters and now 7 podium presentations. So without that help, we would not have this event. And then I guess for me, the last thing that I would like to share is if you have any questions, reach out to Lori Wenzel or Chris Conrad. I think their emails, I don't know if you guys are going to, include their emails here, but if they are, make sure you reach out to them. And yeah, go blue.
And I just wanted to just reiterate what you said earlier in the podcast. There will be raffles, door prizes, and bingo cards. So, and food, as Laura and Becky said. So to draw them in, please come in, lots and lots of education and things to learn.
But don't forget the food.
Yes.
And at celebrating the hard work and the innovation of all of our nurses at UMH. I think that's really big too. Yeah.
Absolutely. So people need to come and join us. There's a lot of good things happening, and it is we refer to it as the kickoff for Nurses Week.
I like
Even technically, Nurses Week starts May 6th, but this is the kickoff, and it's a good time to come and check out all the work that your colleagues have been doing and network with people and come enjoy some food and prizes.
It's a really great celebration. So thank you, Becky, Lakeisha, and Laura, for giving us all this great insight about Nursing Poster Day. But before the three of you go, we're obviously going to dive off of the work side of it just a little bit, but add a little personality to this. We're going to ask one more interesting question. And obviously May celebrates Nurses Week, but it's really Nurses Month all of May. So tell us about a nurse who influenced you and helped you either in your career or with your own health. So Becky, why don't you go first?
Well, that is a loaded question because it's not just one. And it takes me throughout my years as just a person in general. So it all started with my grandma when I was a kid. That's kind of who inspired me to become a nurse and wanted to be a nurse. And then when I was actually a nurse, the staff that I worked with on 8D, there's so many. I don't think she works here anymore, but I had a patient pass away, and she was one of the CNSs at the time, and she really helped me kind of work through that process. And then also my supervisor, so Sam Judkins, Elizabeth King, Deanna Bittner, who I think is still the manager of 8D, also Deb Eastman. But this is going to be, I know we're celebrating, but it's going to be kind of sad for a second. So my first nurse preceptor who became my friend on 8D made the most impact, Danielle Luck, but she passed away in 2020. So I still think about her from time to time, and I giggle when something funny happens. I'm like, you would have just made fun of me so much. So there's been a lot of people that have just influenced me, and I think that's what's great about nursing is it can't just be one person, and maybe it is for some people, but for me it was, and I'm sure I'm not naming all the people that have made a difference in my life, for my health, or as a nurse, but those are the ones right now that come to mind and, stick out.
And so with me, the number one nurse in my life is my mom. So she's been a nurse since I was 10. She's retired now, bless her heart. But and she was a pediatric nurse in the beginning of her career, and then she retired as a geriatric nurse. But when as a pediatric nurse, she worked 3 to 11. And again, we're like, Mom, why are you going to work to take care of the kids? What about us? What about us? But back in the day that we could, like before HIPAA, kids could go, I could go on my mom's unit and help her with the kids on the pediatric unit back in the 80s. And so I just looked up to her, how the children loved her and how she just took care of those babies that needed her. And then, like Becky said, it's so many people that you just can't name. My CNS coordinator, instructor, teacher, everything, Dr. Mitzi Saunders, she's a coordinator at University of Detroit. She was made a big impact on me on just like moving forward. You can do it. Keep it moving. And then my mentor here, my very own mentor here at Michigan Medicine, she kind of does a little bit of everything. Her name is Sharon Dickinson. Mm-hmm. And so she's still my mentor. She works here and there, but she's just, when I came, she precepted, mentored me, and then just, again, made a big impact on my onboarding here at Michigan Medicine. I don't think I would have been able to do all the things that I've done here without her and without her encouragement and her support. So, but just so many nurses throughout the 27 years I've been a nurse.
You can't put all the names. They're there. So if I forgot you, I'm sorry, but you make a difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I've been a nurse for 41 years. So again, a lot of people through the years. I think starting with one of my faculty members as an undergrad at U of M, Mary Hunter, who I absolutely loved, and she was a great influence on me as a student. And then she also worked at the health system. And so I got to interact with her, and she was great. I also was active duty Army Nurse Corps for 3.5 years and met a lot of amazing people who did a lot of really hard work. And it's a different world in that space. So that was that was always, great to interact with all different people there. And then I've been at the U, it'll be 37 years this summer. So I've interacted with a lot of people over the years that have been really great mentors, great examples of phenomenal nurses. I don't have good stories like the two of you about family because my family was all teachers. So I had to do something different. So I chose nursing. But it's been a great career and I've loved it. And I really feel like, once I came to the U, that was where I was going to be. And I have been. And so it's been a lot of people through the years. Just a quick note, my son and daughter-in-law work at the U in different capacities, not as nurses. But my son used to work as a patient assistant, like in the clinics, checking people in and out. And he would work sometimes at Taubman. Sometimes I'd go down there to see him. And when I'd walk over there, because I've been here so long, I know so many people, I'd be like, oh, hey, how are you? Whatever. And he said, Mom, I think you know everybody that works here. I'm like, no, I don't, but I do know a lot of people after all these years. So it's been great.
I love it. This was such a great way to, bring this whole podcast full circle, right? We started with the professional side and then we turned to the personal side of nursing. And Laura, coming from a family of teachers and then you becoming a nurse, I mean, it's so similar though. You're in to help people. You're in those fields to help people and to make an impact on people. And everyone does that. And you guys have all done that for so many years. And it's really inspiring to see it. Thank you so much for sharing your personal stories and for sharing all of the insight into Nursing Poster Day and Nurses Week here at Michigan Medicine. If you want to learn more about this important topic, go to mmheadlines.org. That's mmheadlines.org. And if you liked what you heard today, be sure you catch every episode of The Wrap that you may have missed. You can find the shows on your favorite podcast hosting platform and on the Michigan Medicine YouTube channel. That's all we have for today. As always, we thank you, the listener, for everything you do for patients, families, and each other. We'll see you next time.